Okay, I started the recording now. There we go. So I wanted to show you guys. I know a lot of people don't have, they don't want to pay for Kovacs, or some people just don't feel comfortable or feel intimidated by using um, aim labs, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to use those, that's okay too. Just the biggest thing is make sure that your sensitivities match up. There are options. I haven't used Kovacs before, but in aim labs, there's a option where you can match up your Valorant in-game sensitivity to the sensitivity in aim labs too, and you do not want to warm up for an hour on aim labs and your sensitivity is completely off, or else your muscle memory will be off when you get on to Valorant. So if to make things easier, just open up Valorant, come into the range. If you don't want to, I get intimidated by deathmatch sometimes, and sometimes I get very tunneled or I just like zone out when I play deathmatch. So it's not the greatest options for me. So for me, a light warm up is either 5-10 minutes in the range and I'm good to go, just to go straight into comp. And one of the fact that we have so many, like we have a lot of tools here, and I'll show you guys that tool later too. But Days brought this up, and I've actually been using these a lot more. These little airplane bots up here, they take 3 shots with the Phantom, I think with the Vandal too, to break. But they're very, very useful for practicing your verticality aim. Because, like, for example, if you're on like A site Haven, you're gonna be looking at Heaven at around this angle, you know? So you want to practice flicking up and down just to make sure you're clearing angles. You're clearing up and down, and then even farther away like that. And then aiming back down. So it's really nice because you see them in the background moving too, and these ones are nice because you get to just like aim straight up and then aim at them. And for these types of bots, you could practice tapping like that too. Or you could practice like little bursts like that. And that's pretty much it for these airplane bots. And it's really nice because you could also just like practice counter strafing. And I'm not sure if you guys know what counter strafing is. It seems like a lot of people who came from CS, it's almost like second nature to them. So I'll show you guys. In the practice range, I personally, when I actually play, when I play start or when I practice, I don't really like playing from over here, you know? I actually prefer playing inside the range because I could practice moving around left and right. And when you counter strafe, it means strafing is going to this, let's just say we're holding A. This is strafing, moving side to side. But when you counter strafe, you guys have heard of running and gunning before, like people who just straight up go, you know, while they're pressing W, or if they're just holding left or right, and they're just spraying like that. But to make, like you guys saw, my bullets just went everywhere. They just went up and down everywhere. But instead, try practice counter strafing, which is when you're holding D and then you stop by pressing A once. Or you hold A and you stop by pressing D once. So this is a really good thing just to keep practicing. Just in the range, just standing here. And you could just aim at the spot. And I just keep my crosshair on him. And practice going back and forth. And that's how I practice counter strafing personally. And I know a lot of other people use other different tools like aim labs or something. But once I warm up like this, just constantly, it really, really helps me to stop running and gunning in game, because that is a big problem that I know a lot of people have. And they're always like, oh, why does it seem like this guy who just one-tapped me, why does it look like he was just running, you know? But a lot of times when people are running like this and they're aiming at you, they stop half a second and they shoot and then they keep going. And that one time they press A, right, that. Then your aim pretty much goes at a net 0. So you are perfectly accurate once you stop. Because your first shot will always be 100% accurate. The first 2 around, typically just the first shot. So if you just keep practicing that movement, it's just going to become habit. It's a really, really great habit to pick up to practice your counter strafing, because you'll use it in game all the time. And you guys know the regular just starting. And if you don't like standing up here, like I said before, because sometimes like, you know, my wrists hurt. I'm a wrist gamer, so I don't like flicking like that, you know. I also go in here and I have it set on 50 and it gives me the time. So if you press F3, if I press F3, can I? Okay, there we go. So there's different options in the shooting range. If you could do easy, medium, hard, and that's when they pop up really quickly. And I personally don't really like using that as much because it's just practicing your flicking. And that's fine if you guys like it too, but make sure you're always getting a score of around 25 or better out of 30 bots. Or else at that point, you're kind of just over flicking and you're messing up. If you get worse, if you get like 10 or something, I highly suggest don't use this tool just because you're practicing just like, oh, I'm going to hit this shot. I'm just going to randomly flick this shot. But you're just missing your shots and you're teaching yourself bad habits. So what I really like to do is use streak, eliminate 50. And I turn it on and they just keep popping up until you kill 50 bots. And it really helps because, like I said before, you could keep practicing your counter strafing while trying to kill 50 bots. And I do this around 3 times usually. And you could also practice, if you guys see what I'm doing, I also go from my crosshair to like doing this and I bounce up and down. It's not like just a straight line. I also like going from looking up somewhere and then pulling down because it also helps practice. If somebody's sitting in heaven up here, for example, and then somebody just pulls up behind default box, I could just pull my crosshair down and practice doing that and flicking down. So that's pretty much it for this. This is my sense. I'm just a 0.443 on 1000 DPI. After that, the last tool, or the last 2 tools, I guess, that I really like using is the spike diffuse. I don't know if you guys have used this before, but you guys did this in the tutorial way back when. But this is a really nice tool for me. And you could start off by just using easy mode. You just press F3 and then you could choose easy, medium, hard. And this really helps for me warming up because you could either use your util if you want to, but it helps me learn to, I don't know if you guys have heard of slicing the pie, where you slowly clear corners by taking it bit by bit. And we saw that there was a bot right there. And this tool is so nice because sometimes bot spawns there, sometimes closer, sometimes farther, sometimes behind there. Or, for example, they could be up here standing on top of the box. And there's one right there. We're running out of time. You check everything. And I didn't have enough time because I was showing you guys. But I really love using this tool, genuinely, because it really helps me. Because sometimes, you know, deathmatch isn't really realistic. It helps you warm up like your actual aim, but it's not like 10 million people aren't going to spawn in front of you and behind you, you know, realistically. But this one helps me like, if there was a helping clear my left corner, because I need to work on swinging wide left, or help me swing wide right, you know. This is a really, really nice tool to use, as well as spike planning if you guys want to work on how to hold angles post-bomb plant and where to aim, because you guys probably know that this map was like modeled after Ascent, or like Ascent was modeled after this, and it helps you, you know, practice looking up from up here, and then obviously when they walk down the stairs, how your aim is going to differ. But these are all great tools. If you personally like, I know it sounds really ridiculous, but for the longest time, I have actually been using Apex as my warming up because I don't know if any of you guys play Apex, but people be zoom in there. And it's so nice to me, like personally, my body, like before I play, my hands are ice cold and I'm just sitting down, you know, drinking my cup of coffee. But it's so nice practicing like tracing, because people are like zooming around everywhere. And realistically, people aren't going to be running around jumping like they are in Apex, but it helps me get moving and helps me get my hands and my arms warm. And everybody plays like, you know, different games. I used to freaking play Fall Guys before I got onto competitive Valorant, you know, just for the day, just because it would help me warm up, like looking up and down and stuff, you know, whatever is your cup of tea, whatever works for you. But I highly suggest you guys use these tools, and you could also help like line some things up. Hey, if my boombot saw somebody right there, then I could swing. But another tool to keep in mind, or another thing to keep in mind, is that, for example, let me line up with this. If I wide swing like this, you guys heard that step, right? Like that step. It takes a while before, like, I'm already out this much before I made a stepping noise. But instead of, like, let's say somebody was standing right here. Instead of walking like this and then trying to peek them, and you know they're there, it's going to be more detrimental to you because you are peeking into their crosshair like that. So one thing I practice before is always, it's slicing the pie. And when I move like this, you guys can't hear anything, right? Because you can move this much, a good amount. This is a lot. This is only 4 steps across, and I didn't make a noise. And I'm not holding shift at all. But that's one thing you guys can practice, is just like slowly tapping your strafe to see if you make a noise or not. Just so it becomes muscle memory, to see how far you can swing on somebody before you make a noise. Because what if this person right here, he's holding this corner and he's watching up here, or he's watching over here. If you slowly go into his screen, he's probably going to react and then just shoot you, you know? Or even if you wide swing, you're going to make those 2 stepping noises, and then they can, they get that indicator and then they can flick to you. But if you can just, I didn't make a stepping noise at all. And then you could just pre-fire, or you could just check everything by jiggling in. So those are some tools, and some tips that really help me warm up in Valorant. And yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, also another thing that Days wanted me to talk about is spray control. And usually I am an advocate for trying to tap or for bursting, especially bursting. But we all get into those moods where there's like, you know, sometimes they're rushing you and your only option is to just like spray, you know, because they're just rushing you. So this is also a really great tool because it shows you what it looks like 5 meters away, 10 meters away, you know, etc. And it helps you practice your spray control. So you could see where your bullets are going. I would suggest not crouching because it can like kind of mess you up sometimes, and you could crouch into their crosshair. But I would suggest trying to burst like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe. Or like just a few, you know? And then just like I was talking about before, practice your counter strafing back and forth, shooting after every time you counter strafe, and make it your muscle memory. These are some tips that CSGO players have been, and just CS Source players have been using for years. This is just second nature to them. And if Valorant is your first FPS, I know that's a big reason why people are like, well, I don't have a CS background. That's why, like, you know, it seems like people who played CSGO, it's so easy to them. But it's just because we're so used to counter strafing like this. And we're also used to tapping. Let me pull. Did I not just hit that? Okay, that's fine too. I don't know why it's hello. Okay, there we go. Like I said, just get into the range, just practice your counter strafing, and also going from up, down, because if you're looking at something in heaven, but then somebody appears in front of you, practice pulling back down. And like I also said too, if you want to spray, like practice your spraying, just pull down, do a few times, and just readjust your aim. It's all right to take your time to aim before you shoot, because we don't want to panic and you see somebody in the corner of your eye and then you spray, because they could take all the time in the world while you're panic spraying at them. They could take all the time in the world to just line up a headshot and just shoot you once. So I highly suggest practicing looking at somebody, looking at their head, and then aiming first and then shooting. Don't go for, like, I've seen TikToks and like people who are showing off like, oh, look what I can do, like I could just spray like this and just like kill them all like that because my spray control is so great. But it's like, but is it really when you're just spraying in like range? What is it teaching you, you know? Just keep practicing. You could stay in the range like I was talking about because it's much easier. Like, realistically, they're gonna be like this to you, you know? People aren't gonna be like, if I am over here and a bot spawns right there. Realistically, you're gonna be like moving around and looking around. You're not gonna be like shooting one person here and then just immediately flicking over here, you know? So feel free to go inside and just that movement. And it'll become a rhythm and it'll become second nature to you guys. I promise you, if you just keep practicing this. And I practice it every day, even now. I have 3,000 hours in CS and it's just natural to me, you know? And yeah, that's pretty much it on warming up. If you guys have any questions,